By the late 1990s, the nearby metropolitan Soshigaya Park was expanding and authorities started buying out the neighborhood. What used to be this bustling area of over 200 families had dwindled down to just 4 families by late 2000. The Miyazawas had actually agreed to sell, but they delayed their move to March 2001 just to make sure the transition was smooth for young Ray and his developmental needs. Because of that decision, by December 2000, they were living in a practically abandoned ghost town.
And out in that isolated environment, some really chilling warning signs started popping up. First, just days before the crime, Mikio actually confronted some rude teenagers and members of the infamous Bozazoku biker gang who were making a ton of noise at the nearby skating park. Second, Yasuko noticed an unknown car repeatedly parked outside their isolated house, which naturally made her terrified of a stalker. Finally, and perhaps the most disturbing detail, local stray animals in the area were found inexplicably harmed in the months prior. And as we know, that is often a major rehearsal sign for extreme psychopathic behavior.
Section 3. The New Year's Nightmare. So it was December 30th. The family had just been out shopping for the new year, which is a massive, multi-day celebration in Japan. They came home tired, had dinner, and headed to their separate floors for the night. Here is how that fateful timeline unfolded. At around 11:30 p.m., the grandmother Haruko, who lived right next door, heard a heavy thud. Because of the soundproofing, she didn't think much of it. But police later estimated this was the sound of Mikio fighting the intruder and falling on the stairs. Between 11:30 p.m. and 12:05 a.m., the killer moved floor by floor, taking the lives of Mikio, then little Ray right in his bed, and finally Yasuko and Nina up in the attic. This horrific reality wasn't even discovered until 10 a.m. the next morning, New Year's Eve, when Haruko used a spare key to check on them after they wouldn't answer the phone.
When the police finally arrived, they didn't find busted locks or signs of forced entry at the front door. Instead, their reconstruction pointed to a small, unlocked window in the middle floor bathroom. By scaling the outside fence and stepping onto an AC unit, the killer squeezed inside. And the tight nature of this entry point told police one very key thing right away. The killer had a very slim, highly athletic build.
Section 4. A careless killer. Now, what's really interesting about this case is the killer's behavior after the fact. You'd expect someone who just committed such a horrific act to bolt immediately into the night, right? Nope. He made absolutely no attempt to cover his tracks. He stayed in the house for hours. He casually ate melon, scooped out some ice cream from their freezer, and drank their tea. When he injured himself with his own knife during the attack, he brazenly used their kitchen towels to bandage his wounds and just tossed them aside. And most bizarrely, he used the family toilet and literally didn't even flush. This reckless, incredibly sloppy behavior just mocked the whole idea of a clean getaway, leaving police an absolute goldmine of biological evidence, with saliva and fingerprints absolutely everywhere.
And the bizarre behavior